Footy and Frothies, Danaan and Daggy are with you for a preview show this week. What's happening, Danaan?
Not much, mate. Just back in the grind of the normal 9 to 5. The 2 weeks parental leave's all up. So yeah, back and running.
Very
at
good.
the office.
Me too. Unfortunately, it's one of the 3 weeks of the year I have to work. So unfortunately, no for the next couple of weeks, no review show as such because I'm flat out. But it will return well and truly, hopefully end of July and into the finals. We'll have plenty to discuss, no doubt. But we'll try and at least keep touch everyone via some socials and definitely from a preview point of view. You getting some sleep with the baby?
Yeah, mate. She's a good sleeper, or I just don't wake up. It's, I guess, a bit of both.
That's the key. I used to find that worked really well. But good stuff there. Any takeaways from, just quickly, we'll touch on it without running through everything, and I'll send GT the Daggy endpoints later tonight when I've had time to think. But any takeaways from last weekend? Just flipping through those games.
Well, just a couple that we did mention, we had a few teams that we sort of thought were like must wins. Your moral of the week, the Dolphins, losing. I think they might be gone now.
I agree. I sort of
Sharks,
agree.
Yeah, it looks like they've run out of steam. The Sharks, Nico, I don't know what they do there. He's just, I don't know.
You know what they need to have a try doing? I was thinking about this. I was on Thursday night or Friday night. I think they actually need to try and just go back to what they were doing last year and have him do everything.
Potentially.
I think their attempts to have him, whatever they're having him do, because Trindle does all the kicking now and then he fluffs about. Maybe they just say, Nico, just do what you did last year. And then if that doesn't work, then you panic.
Yeah, definitely. Broncos, they might not make the 8, which is, it's not like it's never happened before. A team's made the grand final and then not.
Which is quite a regular occurrence.
Yeah, exactly. So they look like they're in a bit of trouble. On the opposite side of that game, Tamari Martin, I don't think Shaun Johnson comes back into that side if they're serious in making the 8. He's, you could argue right now the two best halves in the comp are the Kiwi pair of Hughes and Tamari Martin. Mentioning Hughes, he was amazing again.
Mm-hmm.
Eels were absolutely atrocious, but after dropping 2 spots after the bye, they lost and then went up a spot.
A conveniently timed, just on Tamari, timed hamstring injury. Interested to see whether Shaun Johnson is just put on ice for the rest of the year now.
Yeah, definitely.
And and I don't know what's happening next year. I think the call is always up to Shaun Johnson allegedly, but we'll see there. Parramatta, I was a bit disgusted by that. I don't know what I expected, but I thought they probably should have won the game. And in fairness, some contentious calls, but they threw that game away. Anytime anyone out wide got the ball, they had no idea what to do.
Yeah, it was a pretty piss poor effort. It was a hard watch.
And conversely, lastly, flipping back to Friday night, Matt Burton's boot, perhaps the star of the weekend. They don't win that game without Matt Burton. Perhaps Sharks do win that game without Nicho Hynes. But I thought his kicking was fantastic, icing that last, not just the field goal, but the fact for 40 minutes in that game, they had nothing, that Bulldogs forward back. And that boot just 70 metres at the end of every set got them back in the game.
Yeah, 100%.
For a big chunk of that. Smoked 2 50-metre goals, just missed, and then iced the one that he had to kick after having the hit up before to set up his kick. So, tremendous outing from Matt Burton. You touched on Nico. What do you say about the rest? There's a reserve grade game. There's 2 reserve grade games on Sunday, I suppose. Maybe 3.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think we've nailed that quite quickly there.
Oh, there you go. What are we wasting 5 years of our time for? All right, round 18 kicks off with some big inclusions on Thursday night with the Eels hosting the Bunnies. Jake Tungo makes his first grade debut on the wing with Sevo out, and Charlie Geimer makes his debut off the bench. Back row, I believe, with Maka Katoa making way. Look, end of the day, if nothing else, Para have started blooding plenty of juniors this year. So we'll see what that bodes next year. For the Bunnies, Cam Murray and Latrell Mitchell back. Chi Cam drops out and Jay Jai Gray back to 18th man. No thought as yet, and it's been no thought discussed, according to Ben Hornby, of Latrell coming back in number 3 and Jai Gray keeping his spot. Any hope here for you?
None at all.
Nothing to add? Okay.
No, there's no hope. South 13 plus, I think will be, like, even though it is at CommBank, it almost, the players just look like they've given up.
Yeah. Particularly that back
they're
row.
revolting.
Apparently,
it's almost like they're revolting against the club now.
Well, apparently Mitch Moses had plenty to say to his teammates today, publicly and privately, and where they're at. So, what do you say?
That's it. But he also apparently had words to Mark O'Neill. They're all, by the sounds of it, they're all pretty pissed that they haven't had their coach for next year named. That was actually meant to have happened last night, and it's amazing that hasn't slipped through the cracks to the media yet. So I'm assuming, within the next 7 days we'll know who the coach is for next year. But the joint's just it's run like a circus.
Yeah, I can't add much more to that. I would suggest they probably don't know who their coach is yet. So if they don't yet, do you just name Barrett so everyone can move on, or do you?
Well, they had a meeting. They had a board meeting Tuesday night.
Okay, so they've got something.
So they should have a coach, but if they come out tomorrow and said we still haven't selected, that wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, I don't have much hope here. I think some of these outside backs are starting to find a bit of form. Latrell being one of them, the operative one. I think he might run amok with some time and space against these smaller outside backs from the Eels. I can't even make a case, the old-fashioned Parramatta forward pack case anymore, because Colomatunga's on fire. Arrow's been okay, albeit with one arm, and Cam Murray's now back. So they win that battle too. Probably 13 plus.
I had the same.
First try, Richie Kenner, just because I'm picking someone out wide.
Yeah, I've gone Alex Johnson.
AJ, what price is AJ? $3?
He's got a really good try scoring rate against the Eels.
Friday kicks off up at Coffs Harbour with the Sharks hosting the Titans in what I dare say is perhaps a must-win for Sharks at this stage now. I know they're
it is if they want to finish top 4.
But gosh, it's leaving a little bit to be desired of late. Daniel Atkinson's on the wing for Sione Katoa. Tom Hazelton starts. Sorry, you're going to say something?
I just saying that for Sharks to finish top 4, they have to win this.
Agree. AJ Brimson is back at 6 for the Titans. Jojo Fafita's back. Philip Sammy back to centre, and Beau Fermor back into the forward pack. They also get Mo Fodawaker. A better looking lineup for the Titans this week, but what are you thinking?
I want to tip the Sharks, but I don't know if I can. They're just... It'll be one of those situations where if I tip the Titans, the Sharks will end up putting 30, a 30-point win against them. But I'm tempted to tip the Titans. Just the Sharks have just fallen apart.
I sort of agree.
I don't know what it is.
I just, from the point of view that I've had success tipping against the Sharks, is sort of why I want to stick.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking the same.
It's not like they're missing players or anything like that. They've just...
There's no aura about them, is there?
Form is just gone.
Exactly. And maybe that comes back to the leader there, or the halfback there. Because I will say, and I want to say this about last Thursday, so all of their outside backs and all of their forwards run as hard as anyone in the comp. They just try their asses off, but they're just missing something now. Whether it's one or both of those halves, I'm not sure.
I might actually tip the Titans 1-12 here.
Okay. Who leads away?
The AJ Brimson coming back, I think, will be big for the Titans.
Yep.
So, I think I'm going to follow your lead and start just tipping against the Sharks until they can turn it around.
I'm only going to tip the Sharks because I think they have to. But keep in mind, Titans coming off a career best, almost club best performance.
I think it was a club
best performance led by Foran, who was outstanding, and getting AJ back, who was in great form before he got injured. and some other cavalry certainly helps. I think this is closer than people give credit to. This will be one of those games where you'll tell me the market, and I'll say, "Wow, that's what is the market?" Have you had a look?
$1.37 Sharks,
Mm.
$3.10 Titans. I guess it's at Shark Park as well, but
That's
the
true.
Titans have just come off the bye, so
Yeah.
one of two ways there. Either some teams bounce on really well, other teams struggle. So yeah, it's probably one of the tougher ones to pick for the round.
As I said, I'm going to tip the Sharks because I think it's last chance, and I think they have to get the job done at some point, or there's grave concerns. I think Brent Nakora has been in good form. Cam McGuinness has too. They're the two key hopes. One of them will be man of the match. First try scorer. Who's even left these days? They'll stick with the double there, Nikora as well, but perhaps on the edge there against one of those centres. But really intriguing match. I can see Daniel Atkinson getting in a bit of trouble out in that wing at times, and I think we're getting to the stage where we need to see more out of William Kennedy as well, to be honest. So
yeah, well, Fafita and Thermal, you'd argue are playing for a Queensland jersey this week.
I would suspect so. Yeah, good shout.
So yeah, that just might add a little bit to it.
And if you're picking a favourite, you'd probably have Bo just in front on recent selections.
Yeah, well,
Not what I would be doing.
On the bench, most likely, because he would then become their utility player.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Main event, the replay of last year's grand final. It doesn't quite have the impetus it did a few weeks ago, but Broncos hosting the Panthers at Suncorp. Reece Walsh, Pat Carrigan, Payne Haas all back. Dean Mariner into the centres for Corey Oates on the wing. No Gazowski, no Fletcher Baker. Dylan Edwards, Brian Tuo, Jerome Luai, Liam Martin are all back for Penrith. Yo's off the bench. I think Penrith bounce back in a big way. Brisbane, the other team, need to win this. And obviously on paper, everything looks lovely as a clash, but I just think that Edwards Luai in career best form will be too much to handle against a Brisbane team that's becoming very frantic of late, is the word I like to use for them. And these forwards will do enough to handle the big guns up there for Brisbane. 1-12 Penrith, Luai man of the match for probably the sixth game in a row, and first try scorer. Not had a great month, Taruva, so perhaps the time to bounce back.
Yeah, I'm actually going Panthers 13+. I think they're going to do a number on them. Brisbane have just, again, a bit like the Sharks, they've just lost their way. They've got the players to do it, but until they can show otherwise, I just don't have the confidence to back them right now. And what was there, 6 Origin players coming back for Penrith, all had, a week and a bit off. They're all going to be refreshed. Those that did play last week, losing to the Cowboys, like they won't want to lose 2 in a row. So yeah, I got Dylan Edwards, first try scorer and man of the match in it.
I think what's interesting about Brisbane and the Sharks is that this comp is so close that form actually counts for a lot more than it ever has. Like for years, definitely. Teams could be out of form, but the best 8 teams are still the best 8 teams. Whereas now, we've seen for years now, teams get on those hot streaks. Newcastle, Cowboys, potentially Bulldogs this year. Potentially, there might be another one about to take off on them. And it's the informed teams more than the class teams, I think, because the comp's so even. The ones you need to go looking for.
Yeah, definitely.
Super Saturday, Bulldogs hosting the Warriors. Speaking of informed teams, Connor Tracy's back from his head knock. Skelton drops out of the team. Carraz back to the wing. Kurt Mann back onto the bench. And no changes for the Warriors, with Tohu Harris named but could come off the bench. Again, Barnett in the middle. Just having a read through everyone else. That looks about right. What are you doing with this?
I'm Bulldogs in a low scorer, so I'm going to say 1-12. It'll be 5 tries in a game.
Okay.
Type situation, and the Bulldogs' defense has just been so good lately. I don't see it being a blowout. I see it being a really good competitive game. But I think, as you said, the form team. I'm just going with. I know the Warriors did win last week, but the Bulldogs are just they're sitting in 5th for a reason.
Absolutely.
They're not exactly blowing sides out of the park, but it's their defence. What do they got? The best or second best
I
defence in
think
the
it's a
comp?
defence, the best after last week, but don't quote me on that. I know
Yeah, so
them and Penrith were
yeah, I'm
close.
not expecting like the Bulldogs to win like a 40-30 type thing. It'll be like a 16-10 type scoreline. So the Warriors will be right in it, but I think the Bulldogs will hold on.
I'm in agreement. I'm going to go Bulldogs 112. If this was played in New Zealand, I reckon I'd flip them. But
Potentially, yeah.
I'm going to say over here the defence prevails. They can keep them to 3 tries and perhaps outkick them again, because I think the forward pack battle is well, not even close really. But Matt Burton's boot will so be the difference. In the boot we trust. 1-12 Bulldogs will be man of the match and first try scorer. Let's actually go with Kurt Capel there, actually on an edge. Bit of footwork into the line, maybe finding something.
Going Carraz back on the wing. That was one thing that we learned last week. Carraz is not a fullback in the NRL.
No, I thought he was fantastic. He wasn't a super coach fullback, but he got through a lot of work. I thought he was really good, but doesn't translate to his 110s that he's been punching out in Supercoach.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
He's not a creative fullback. He's not.
I felt like that. Yeah, he's not a creative fullback.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the best way of putting it.
Which
He's
is fine if you've got Jerome Luai
very
and
similar,
Nathan Cleary.
very similar to what he does on the edges.
Mhm.
That getting in there doing that hard yards. But it feels like in the NRL these days you do need to have that creative fullback at the back.
He was running his ass off. He was running front rowers the whole game. So, it was what
Yeah.
it was. I thought
that's it. Yeah, it's not that
he diffused
not
bombs.
that it was bad. It
yeah.
was just.
I know what you're saying. That.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else from this one?
Is Crichton going to be the signing of the year if he isn't already?
I dare say he wins captain of the year, and probably Serraldo wins coach of the year if they finish top 4 or 5.
Potential.
So we'll see how that plans out this next few weeks. The Tigers host the Storm at 5:30 at Leichhardt. God help me.
You're undefeated at Leichhardt.
We are undefeated at Leichhardt. We've got a good record against Storm at Leichhardt, at least used to. Charlie Staines is back. That's something I like saying out loud. John Bateman comes in the starting side, and Heath Mason comes onto the bench. Ruben Porter drops out. We'll see if Olam comes back in. He's an extended bench, but he's a week-to-week prospect with his knee right now. For the Storm, Pappenhausen is back. Failongo to the bench. Coates rested for Kane Bradley into the starting lineup. No Harry Grant. Is he in your super coach?
No, I was going to bring him in this week pretty much because they were playing the Tigers.
I've got him, but I've got enough to get by. I've also got Pappenhausen, so I'm fingers crossed he gets going.
Yep.
I tell you what, you look at this Melbourne team on back 5. There's apart from Pappy and Hughes, it's not world class yet. That said, I think they're obviously a great team on the back of what Hughes has been doing. So I'm going to 1-12 Melbourne. Hope that. Look, I know Tigers got tired last week, but East's are probably the most physical, up-tempo team in the comp, and they just beat up some kids, which was always going to happen. I don't think it's as much of a slaughter this week, but I think that back row of Bloor and Katoa put them in great stead. Pappy man of the match. Let's see him going, and we'll go the double with first try, but Warbrick also a live chance there because he's only got to jump over Charlie Staines.
Yeah, I had Melbourne 13+. But I think you're right, though, in what you're saying. That's probably close to the weakest back 7 Melbourne have had in a decade, apart from when they've missed Origin players.
Yeah.
But as you said, the 4th, they're going to win it for him, and then the backs will probably run away with it for him in the second half. So with that being said, I'm actually going Sean Bloor to score first try, and Hughes, he's just on fire. He's easy man of the match, I think. As long as they win, it'll be revolved around him.
Cowboys host the Seagulls at Country Bank Stadium. Another interesting one. Tom Trbojevic is back in the centres for his return, which sees Cooler keep fullback spot, and Garrick, the other centre, DCE, Trbojevic, Jay, and Olakuatu all back, as is Aloe, which pushes Nathan Brown and co back to the bench. Lehigh Hopewade keeps that bench spot at 14. Now, an AE trap. The Cowboys get back Holmes, Tuolangi, Dearden, Cotter, Nanai, Robson, which push Finil Fuiaki, McIntyre, and Edwards to the bench. What are you doing here?
Going with history, which I read earlier. Apparently, Manly have only played there twice and won 13 plus on both occasions.
Wow.
So I'll be following that. Just for the good news story, I'll say Tom Trbojevic first try scorer with DC man of the match. But yeah, I was reading something up about the game earlier, just the random stats that you see online, and apparently, the Manly have only played at this new stadium twice and towed them up both times. So as long as that is correct, I will be following that in.
Okay. I got no idea. I'm going to tip Cowboys because they're at home. I hate tipping the Cowboys. I don't trust them. I can never get them right. So I've got no idea. Go Cowboys 1-12. I don't know.
I got a feeling I've got more of their games wrong this year than any other team.
I would agree with that. Drinkwater man of the match.
It feels like every time you tip and they lose, then every time you go against them, they win.
100%. Drinkwater man of the match. Tuolangi first try. I don't know. Chooks, Dragons, the old foes at Allianz, 2:00 on a Sunday. This had my name all over it back in year 12. But anyway, it was 20 years ago. Joey Manu is out for a month, so Jennings comes back in, and Lindsay Collins comes back to start. Terrell May to the bench. We'll see how that plans out. Terrell still get his hour. Lomax is back, and Jack Bird has taped his leg back on and is in an extended bench there. I just think they're just starting to hum. Roosters, Crichton's re-signed during the week. Those forwards, Bradley's found a fantastic home on an edge. Watson into his work. I think there's another 40 coming. There's another 40. I think there's another James Tedesco man performance coming. I think there's another 2 tries for Dom Young coming. There we go. That's the order for me. What about you?
Yeah, I think you're right there. I can see the Dragons getting 3 or 4 tries. They've been playing quite well lately, so I can see them hitting the scoreboard, but I just don't see them competing for the full 80 against the Roosters. And they've proven over this year, like they're a mile out in front for the most points scored for a reason. Just once they get the ball rolling, they're just on fire. They beat them on Anzac Round earlier this year by what was it, like 60 odd points or something. I don't see it being that big, but I can see 60 odd points scored in the game again.
And we're going to wrap up with what in the hell is this game? The Raiders and the Knights at GIO with the...
Where's that old fart button that you used to have?
I need my old sound effects back. Anyway, that's for later. The Kao Weeks is at fullback. Ruppen is on the wing. Hopewadi's in the centres. Adam Cook's the new halfback for his debut. I don't know. I haven't heard him. Simi Siagi on the bench for Jordan Martin. Kalyn Ponga is back in the side. He's at 1. Leo Thompson is back as well. And Phoenix Crossland misses the game with concussion protocols. No Fletcher Sharp. He's at 14. Our man Fletcher, who's been in some decent form. Yeah, what are you going to do? I don't know.
If Ponga plays, I'll tip him 1-12. Otherwise, I'll go the Raiders 1-12. He wouldn't be playing if he's not ready. And I think just him coming back in after their win last week will be enough to get him over the line. I don't have a clue. It's just a nasty game to finish the round.
The fact that there have been so many changes to Canberra suggests they don't have a clue either. So I'm going to go Newcastle against my better judgment.
Yeah.
Will Price, decent enough first grade debut, actually. He'll bring some points, as will Ponga. So let's just hope they score more points than the Canberra team, which ultimately is the aim of the game. We'll go Price man of the match. Bradman best first try. There it is. A whirlwind look through round 18. We'll be back to do it again next week. Anything you want to finish on? And got your frothing here.
Well, the frothing is it's just obviously Origin teams get selected again.
Mm-hmm.
So who do Queensland pick? Coates is now out. The Hammer's been cleared apparently to play Origin 3. So they need at least a winger.
Does Selwyn just come back in?
Pardon?
Is Cobbo undeclared?
Well, yeah. So Walters has declared Cobbo. So but the other side is Best is on fire. So if something does happen to a New South Wales back, he's Best first man off the cab there. But yeah, it's an interesting interesting round in terms of, this is almost it. The last big bye week is next week, so there's a few teams that are about to have a rest. So it'll be interesting to see the performances that they put in before the buys, and those guys that know they're in Origin, how do they play this game? Do they give it their all, or do they save 20% just to make sure that they're there in Wednesday in 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, interesting one because, as you said, now like after this Origin, it's the big push, isn't it? It's the
Yeah,
finest
exactly.
campaign. So we'll see who's tapered, who's not heading there. So looking forward to all of that. And as I said, we'll be back again next week. Thanks, mate. Go and get some sleep and get baby back to bed.
All good, mate. All good. Will do.
See you, bud.